Wherever I go, I am never alone. You know, sometimes I wish that I was more on my own. But I have a friend who loves to go with me. We're as close as we can be. Me and my ego, what a duet. See, I give my all, he takes all he can get. Me and my ego, day after day, I wish he'd go away. Me and my ego, the craziest pair. Now, he tries to help, but he gets in my hair. Me and my ego, so much alike. I wish he'd take a hike. Still, I'm afraid to let him go. He knows everything about me that there is to know. And when I'm feeling some ambition, he's quick to point out the competition. The truth is his only foe. He runs from it just as far as he can go. See, he's always creating such a fuss. He thinks he's much bigger than both of us. Me and my ego, we are fighting the odds. Between anger and envy and fear are his gods. Me and my ego, we are out on a spree. Now why don't I just trust me? I'd like to stop now singing this song, but my ego won't let me. He goes on too long, milking each moment. He lays it on thick. I think I might be sick. Could we stop a minute? I guess not. Now, could we take a little break? Now, look, I think we've shown these nice people about all that we can do. A 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry. Look, please. Stop! Would you just leave me? Stop it! Still, I wish he'd finally give up and go. When he protects me, I don't get to grow. Me and my ego, a thing of the past. Thank God it did not last. I know I'll make it deep down in my soul now that I am in control. Me and my ego, we are saying goodbye. Me and the truth say hi. Several months later, my father died. And you know, I couldn't imagine which was worse. Thinking that I would never get over it, or knowing that one day I would. I really loved my dad. And I felt awful thinking that maybe I had, well, somehow passed him over for Grandpa. My mother was devastated, but Valerie was worth her weight in gold. And back then, gold was up, and so was her weight. I was asked to deliver the eulogy, and I rode to the funeral, sitting back in the limousine, quietly going over my notes and trying to make sense of a man's life to his family and friends, and trying to make sense of his death to me. As we walked down the aisle to our seats, I suddenly saw the back of Aunt Mary's head. And I remembered what her hair looked like when she took the pins out of her bun. She had gorgeous white hair. And I saw Uncle Milt tugging at the back of his collar the way he always does when he wears a tie. And I saw blonde hair and blue hair and moosed hair and a couple of hats. And I walked by them all and stepped up to the podium and placed my note cards before me. I took a deep breath and looked up to acknowledge all the familiar faces that belonged to the familiar hair, but when I looked up, the first person I saw was Biffy, in the second row in a dark suit. And everything else became a blur, and for the first time in my life, I wanted to talk to him more than anybody else in the world. My dad never climbed Mount Everest. He never wrote a novel. He's never won the Pulitzer Prize. My dad never planned a freeway. He never made $1 million like some other guys. He hadn't any trophies. He never made Who's Who. But if you needed his help, there's not a thing he wouldn't do. He didn't play the piano or the violin, you know. But he could play a radio as well as any pro. Oh, my dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't. My dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't even try. He had the greatest laugh, but he wasn't afraid to cry. I can't imagine that he ever told a lie, and he forgave so fast when you'd done something you shouldn't. My dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't. He never once played Hamlet. He never had a friar's roast. When he cooked breakfast, he tended to burn the toast. He'd never been to Europe. He'd never seen the pyramids. His favorite pastime was just bragging about his kids. Oh, my dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't. Oh, my dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't even try. His life may be simple, but it was far from humdrum. For an ordinary man, he was extraordinary as they come. I once tried to describe him, but I couldn't. My dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't. My dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't. Whoa, my dad could beat up your dad, but he wouldn't even try. Then I looked down from heaven and said, I want that God